I'm going to go over 3 strategies that you can use to stop playing so tight during games. Now, earlier this morning, I was on a call with one of the athletes that I work with in one-on-one coaching, and we were talking a lot about when he performs his best. And he was saying that when he's performing his best and he's feeling confident, to him, it's really described as playing relaxed. The opposite of this would be playing tight. For yourself, have you also noticed that you play better when you are more relaxed, but you don't quite play as well when you're tense? Well, this makes a lot of sense because when you play relaxed, you play more freely, right? You trust yourself and you're just more in the moment and you're not so stressed and worried about performing perfectly. And that really brings us to this cause of the tension in the first place. There are going to be a few different reasons why this tension might be there, but one of the main ones will be fear. If you are afraid of making a mistake, so you're afraid of messing up, it's natural that tension will grow as you perform. Because the more you fear making a mistake, the more you focus on, well, what will happen if I do make that mistake? I really don't want to mess up. And so I always like to compare this to holding a stress ball. If you're really squeezing that stress ball hard, that's like trying to force yourself to play well and you're so afraid of not playing well, so there's a lot of tension present. But when you perform relaxed and you just allow yourself to play freely, you let go of that stress ball, so you're not trying to squeeze and force it. But if you find yourself afraid of making mistakes for whatever reason, that's a pretty big indicator that you are playing tense as well. Another main cause of this tension will be anxiety. So if you're worried about making a mistake, you're worried about messing up, which really ties into this fear that I was just mentioning, that also can cause tension. And anxiety itself, one of the main physical symptoms of it will be tension, right? Feeling very nervous and very stressed and very tense. And when you perform with this level of anxiety and worries about what might happen, you will play more tense and you'll underperform. So knowing that and recognizing that there's this fear and this anxiety and also just this idea that you want to play perfect that can really drive this tension, what can you do to let go of this tension, to play relaxed, and to play freely? Well, the first strategy is learning how to relax into the moment. Being relaxed means not just that you're relaxed physically, but also that you are relaxed mentally. Both of the causes of playing with tension that I mentioned a second ago were fear and anxiety. They have to do with your mental state, so what you're thinking about. When you are afraid of what will happen at the end of the game, or you are afraid of what will happen even during the game, this is creating this fear in your mind. That fear will feed into anxiety, which is also all about your thinking. You're thinking, what will happen if I make a mistake? I don't want to make a mistake. I hope I don't mess up. Knowing that it's this type of thinking that causes the tension, we know that mentally you're not calm and relaxed. So learning how to relax into the moment doesn't just mean learning how to relax physically, right? So you let go of that tension. It also means learning how to relax mentally. So how can you do this? Well, one of the best ways that you can relax into the moment physically, and this will also tie into mentally, will be to take some deep breaths. What I recommend doing is if you find yourself playing with tension, either before the game or during the game, use count breathing. What this is it's where you breathe in for a count of 5, let's say, and then you breathe out for a count of 5. You could also breathe in for a count of 4, out for a count of 8. The actual kind of number rhythm that you use doesn't matter as much as this idea of let's take some deep breaths, let's focus on the counting. It simplifies your thinking and takes your mind off of whatever it is that you're worried about. Now, something else that you can do to really help with this idea of relaxing into the moment is thinking, I'm going to allow the outcome to be what it'll be, and I'm going to relax into just playing and enjoying my game. This has a lot to do with trust. So you want to trust yourself, trust your preparation, and trust the work that you've put in. And this ties into the second strategy. You want to be mentally prepared for the game. The more mentally prepared you are, the more focused you'll be and the better mindset that you'll be in to start the game. So earlier I was mentioning an athlete that I was working with earlier today actually, and he's a basketball player. We were talking about this idea of playing relaxed and how he plays his best when he's relaxed. Now, I was introducing him to this idea of getting into that feeling and that state of being relaxed prior to the game. So if you work on getting into this state before the game starts, it's much more likely that you will retain that state as the game goes on. Now, we were also talking about the importance of moving on from mistakes because mistakes are one of the main things that could pull him out of feeling relaxed. And that might be something for you to pay attention to as well if you notice that during the game when you make a mistake, it pulls you out of being relaxed. But back to what I was saying with this idea of being mentally prepared. He and I are starting to work right now on mentally preparing so that he can start games in a more relaxed mindset. For yourself, Are you mentally preparing as much as you can so that when you show up to the game, you are as relaxed and trusting as you can be? There are a couple different ways that you can mentally prepare, with one of them being some mental rehearsal. Mental rehearsal is also known as visualization, and this is the process of going through your game in your mind. So you start to imagine all these different situations, you practice and practice and practice in your mind, and the more you mentally rehearse your game, the more confident you are come game time, because you have this idea of, I've seen myself do it hundreds of times in my mind. Another mental training tool that you can use to help with mental preparation is mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness meditation actually works to train the skill of being able to relax into the moment, which ties back to the last strategy that I was talking about. Mindfulness meditation is where you choose a certain time frame to meditate every day. This could be between 5 and 20 minutes. It just all depends on yourself, on your time, and honestly on your experience. If you're just getting started with mindfulness meditation, I recommend starting with 5 minutes. Don't try to overdo it at the beginning. Start small and stay consistent. All you do with this meditation is you focus on taking some nice deep breaths, and you try to focus on your breathing. Now, what will happen naturally is you will start to think about many different things. You want to just recognize you're thinking about something else and bring your attention back onto your breath. Now, a third strategy is to stop focusing so much on the outcome. Earlier, I was talking about both fear and anxiety. Now, both fear and anxiety, and also this idea of I have to play perfectly, they have to do with you focusing on the outcome. Because let's look at the fear, for example. The fear means that you're afraid of what will happen. Well, what will happen will have to do with the outcome. Did you make a mistake? Did you play well? What do other people think about your game? Same thing with anxiety. Well, what will happen if I make a mistake? How will I play? I hope I don't mess up. All of that has to do with the outcome. This is known as outcome-oriented thinking. When you have outcome-oriented thinking, it's a lot easier for you during games to play with this level of tension. So what you can do is you can work on focusing more on the process. So let go of the outcome, focus more on the present moment. Because the truth is, if you want to relax into the moment, you have to relax into the process of what you're doing. Yeah, you want to play your best. You don't want to make mistakes. You don't want to have the thing that you're anxious about come true. But the truth is, the only way to influence that is by doing the best you can in the moment that you are in. Now, the way you can make this more actionable for yourself is setting what are known as performance objectives going into games. At the start of your game, think, what are a couple things that are part of the process that I want to focus on that will help me perform my best today? Focus on those objectives, and that will help you let go of this outcome. Because you know that playing with tension, it only holds you back. So you really need to work on applying these strategies and making sure that you are starting games in as relaxed and calm of a mindset as you can, and then holding on to that mindset as the game goes on by focusing more on the process. Now, in addition, you also want to make sure you are moving on from mistakes as well as possible. So what I've done right here is I've linked another video that goes into a strategy that you can use to manage mistakes during games. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I put out new videos each week on sports psychology and mental training.